Chargers are used in schools all across the United States. UCLA charges 14,000 batteries a week with my battery chargers. So what I've done is develop a new circuit board that'll read the state of the battery, so you can actually determine the health and life of it. It'll read the serial number, who made it, when it was made, the remaining charge capacity, compare it against the design capacity. That I've got now, and I can read that software on an iMac. But what I want to do is make it so you can read it on an iPad or an iPhone. Next week, I'm going to go to Microchip, and Microchip has some new microcontrollers that have radio frequency output, and they have TC/IP abilities. And so if you put a battery, mostly a MacBook or a Dell or into my battery charger, you can see the statistics of it, and you'll know how good your battery is. Now, this is interesting for my immediate application, but if you think about this century, we are going to have to. This century means that it's predicted in 20 years, our energy requirements are going to go up by 32 to 47%. That's from the Department of Energy. Now, where is that energy going to come from? It's going to come from either using more oil, using nuclear, using renewables, or it's going to come from conservation, and it's probably going to be a combination of all those things. So the way to store energy is in batteries, and all of us use batteries. So my application is relevant to MacBook batteries right now, but it can certainly be used in bikes, in electric vehicles, which are going to start showing up. It's very relevant to understand the remaining charge capacity and how it's aging. Now, if you gave me a hardware problem, like I designed this between the last two camps, I call this a Giesel. It's got an articulating arm. It'll have USB ports here. I can design hardware, and I know a little bit about C and how to program microcontrollers, but I know nothing about this. Today is my first day with this, so I need some help.
So my name's Charles D. I was here last year, had a great time. Our team won the hackathon for the best money-making app, and I'm here again this year to play with Legos. So I have in my possession a Lego Mindstorm NXT 2.0, which has Bluetooth inside a brain. It's not here. It's over there. So what I want to do is have the Lego, I'm going to try to make a rover, and I want to see if I can make an iPhone control the rover. And I know this is possible for sure, well, theoretically, because there's an open source code that lets me install a server on my MacBook Pro, and using the server, I can talk to the NXT. That's easy because they both have Bluetooth that talk with each other. There's also an app that talks with the open source server, so I can use the app to control the rover theoretically. So step one is I want to try to get the iPhone app to talk to this rover to kind of like move it around. And then if I can get that to work, I would love to kind of see, I've been talking to a couple of developers, and they had some awesome ideas of where maybe we can use the gyroscope of iPhone 4 to kind of, twist it or control it, use different sensors. I don't know. I have no idea what can be done with this. So I'm very open to possibilities. I think this would be a really fun project. And I like to invite any developers, testers, anybody, even if you can't code, feel free to come by because I need help making Legos. And Brad's going to add on to how cool this project's going to be.
I'm just here for moral support, so yeah.
All right, thanks. Yeah, I'm Charles D. You can find me on that social network, Crowdvine. Or right now I'm building a Lego in the big room. Thanks.
Very cool.
Hi, my name's Dusty, Twitter, dboger, B-O-E-G-E-R. Yeah, I talked to him earlier. What I'm trying to do is I'm an abalone diver and free diver, and what I want to do is try and build an app that would aggregate data from waves, wind, weather, and aggregate that all in one place, and then also be able to send out SMS or push notifications. What it would do is, as a diver myself, I was trying to think of something that would solve the problems that I have. It's often you go over to the coast, you plan a trip, and then at the last minute, you get over there and it's not worth diving and it's not safe because the conditions have changed overnight or something of that nature. So being able to have push notifications that came out overnight or first thing in the morning could really save time, effort, energy, etc., and could make it safer for people. So that's what I'm working on. Oh, one other thing, I had another one secondary to that. If anybody wants to use this idea, it'd be great. My grandmother is in the hospital. She's been intubated, and we were trying to use an iPhone app to let her choose letters to talk to us. So if someone was working on an iPad app that would have the letters big enough so that someone who's really weak could touch those letters, it would then aggregate those letters into strings and then speak it back to her. That would be really cool if someone wanted to take that project on. But anyway.
Hi, my name is Mike Sachs, and I would like to spend the next 2 days building a public service app with you. I was thinking that there's a website called recovery.gov, and it has these enormous XML files about how the stimulus has been spent on different projects all over the US. And it has zip codes and addresses and everything. So I was thinking an iPhone app that lets you, look at your current location, see who in your neighborhood or who around this place has been receiving funds and what have they done with it and how many jobs have been created with it. That would be a cool app to build in a weekend. So if you're a designer or a Ruby or Python developer who could, transform this database into something useful and manageable and geolocation searchable, you're a designer who can make something really compelling out of a really giant heap of XML data that doesn't really mean anything to anybody, please get in touch with me. My name is Mike Sachs. So Twitter name is Mike Sachs, MikeSax. And my email address is mike@sachs.net. Thanks a lot.
Hi, I'm Barry Medoff, and I've got probably several projects. So I built a live video streaming service which streams live video to iPhone and iPad over HTTP live streaming, kind of like Ustream, but over the web, so you can watch it without an app. And so as part of doing that, we've been playing around a little bit with capabilities of the HTML5 video element and its implementation on the iPad, which is pretty good, but not complete. And so I want to show you what it can do and suggest some ideas that we want to explore. So I'll blow this up. We have a web page. We have some video. This is recorded. So what's interesting about this video is this is video playing through the HTML5 video tag using CSS rotation and translation to transform the video as it's being played. And what's also interesting is I have a reflection as well. The reflection, which will show on desktop Safari, but isn't implemented on the iPad. I'm also using CSS layers to do an overlay, and that works. So we can overlay textual information on top of the video as it's playing. So what I was thinking of doing is, first hooking up with people who want to explore the outer limits of video on the iPad, especially video through the HTML5 video element. And then second, build an advanced JavaScript video client that can do things like overlays, maybe closed captions. You can imagine ads coming up. If you've played around with Google's HTML5 video site, you've seen some cool things that they do with transcripts, hot linking, and so on, that they don't support yet in HTML5, and I think we can support in HTML5 on the iPad. So it's sort of, it's a little bit of experimentation and research and maybe some implementation if we can identify some set of these features which is usable. So if you're interested in HTTP live streaming, video, HTML5 video, I've got some other ideas for video app on the iPad as well. Track me down and let's talk.